There's one thing that I think a lot of fans will definitely agree on when it comes to the Star Wars franchise is that Kathleen Kennedy has been very incompetent as a leader over at Lucasfilm and the president of all things Star Wars, such as handling the Skywalker saga improperly, and of course not necessarily listening to the fans of their wants and needs for the very end of this massive saga that started back in '77. This is Mike Zeroh. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, the thing about Disney Star Wars is that when we look at everything together of what Bob Chapek and Iger are really trying to do is that they are actually getting rid of many of Kathleen Kennedy's ideas and concepts now that she no longer has creative control over at Lucasfilm, which, by the way, is a big plus, a big one-up for Disney, because they're really trying to save their image for how they handle Star Wars, and the same exact thing goes for Marvel. We've seen that, of course, prior to when Bob Chapek came on board as the new Disney CEO, is that they were really trying to go in a more woke, I guess you could say, path for the Marvel Cinematic Universe on Disney Plus when it came to their new TV shows. That's also now being reformed in a more positive sense that's going to focus more so on story. So that's another good thing. And the same exact thing here is happening with Star Wars. However, we do know that The Rise of Skywalker was a very big mess as far as the production went because of the two big phases of reshoots and rewrites that occurred because of Kathleen Kennedy interrupting with many of the sequences that were already shot, or partially shot, if you will, that are actually being developed, of course, under J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio at the time, that were completely cancelled. Now, with that being said, of course, the creators of the sequel trilogy have been highly criticized over the years of how they handled the sequel trilogy films. This includes director Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams by ending the Skywalker saga by providing twists and turns and specific decisions that led some fans to becoming very upset with how things turned out for the Skywalker saga's end. Now, though great change is happening over at Lucasfilm by Disney CEO Bob Chapek to make sure that the brand can become very successful, however, during and after the premiere for The Rise of Skywalker, many interviews were given to the actors and creators of the sequel films, and more. At one point in time, actor Adam Driver was questioned about Kathleen Kennedy's leadership as well as Rian Johnson's take on the Star Wars franchise and the entire universe. Adam Driver went on to reveal that Kennedy was the one who pushed the idea for J.J. Abrams to not include any of Colin Trevorrow's work for Duel of the Fates into The Rise of Skywalker, since it focused more so on the character of Kylo Ren / Ben Solo, where Kennedy wanted the film to focus on the character of Rey more. So in case you guys did not know, J.J. Abrams originally wanted to include many of Colin Trevorrow's ideas for, of course, Episode 9. There were two different versions of Episode 9. We had Duel of the Fates, and we had The Rise of Skywalker. That was, of course, by Colin for Duel, and, of course, JJ for The Rise of Skywalker. Now, we've seen this prime example by Kennedy, pretty much getting in the way of the directors and the writers, and this is yet another example here. Now, Adam went on to reveal that Kennedy had discussed the idea of Rey being called Rey Skywalker with the original director Colin Trevorrow, having creative differences on all of this since he wanted to call Rey Solana. This creative difference, if you will, between Kennedy and Trevorrow was the main reason as to why Kennedy fired Trevorrow. Adam Driver went on to reveal that also Kennedy initiated some of the reshoots back in 2018 because J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio wanted the film to be more dark and gritty than any other Star Wars film, and that Kennedy did not want this to be the main tone of the latest Star Wars movie at the time, and disagreed with their stance on the Star Wars franchise. Now, Kennedy also was the one to delete many of Mark Hamill's scenes, since she was unhappy with how he was able to come up with his own lines of dialogue under JJ's permission. Let's not forget that JJ actually allowed Mark Hamill to improvise his lines of dialogue as Luke Skywalker in the forms of flashbacks and as a Force ghost. Now, Adam continues to say that Kennedy had a vision for the final Star Wars film to be more so in her control toward the end, after she gave JJ and Chris a shot on doing it all on their own, in order to create a proper end to the massive saga created by George Lucas. There was even a point in time in which J.J. Abrams intended and begged Kennedy for Kylo Ren / Ben Solo to stay alive, so that this way there could always be a way to go back to the Skywalker saga and pick up on Ben Solo's story in some way, shape, or form. However, Kennedy ditched this idea by Abrams and deleted the entire concept, since she also wanted all the Skywalkers to remain dead in the Skywalker saga's end. This way she could move on from the burden of the Skywalker saga films. So, Kennedy, like I say, I'm very glad that she no longer has creative control over any of the existing Star Wars projects in the early development phase. Just the Leslie Headland Star Wars TV series, thankfully, that's the only one. So, it seems that now we're heading in a better direction, thankfully, because Bob Chapek really wants only the best for the Star Wars fandom, and of course for Disney as a company, and how they handle Star Wars. So with that being said, guys, drop a comment below, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon we hear them moans again.